Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Character Design Masterclass. Here we are, week 3. Basic character sheet is what we'll be talking about today. So again, thanks for joining us, and welcome. And if you haven't, if you've missed any of the prior sessions, just you can go back through this Eventbrite link. You can watch them; they're all there. Just go to the previous links; they all get archived. So feel free to rewatch, and I'll be posting Jeff's information as well, his email, so you can get in touch with him and ask any questions you wish, and so on. So just want to thank all of our partners in making this project happen. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library, and of course Jeff Wilson for holding this masterclass with us. We're really pleased to have him on board doing this. The software we're using, the Procreate software that's available for iPads and iPhones. It's about $10 or so to purchase in that range. So definitely you can use that. You can also use any other software as well, but we're just using Procreate. So if you're wondering what Jeff's using, it's a iPad Pro, Apple Pencil, Procreate, and that's how it is. So without any further ado, let me bring Jeff into this workshop, and here we go. Here you go, Jeff.
Hi, Tom, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining today. And thanks, Tom, for that very kind intro. And I'm all ready to go here. We're designing characters again. This is week 3. To just kind of backtrack and review what we've done, we basically started with it, dreaming the thumbnailing and kind of experimental process, which is very fun. In week 1, week 2, we kind of narrowed that down, got a little more we tried to get our characters looking very specific so that we could design the character sheets. And this week we're doing basic character sheets. So we're going to be designing the characters that we began last week. We've had some improvements and tweaks, and this week we've got them. We got them down pretty good. So we're going to try to create a character sheet with front, side, and rear views. So it's now we're getting there. We're getting places, and we're going to be able to start getting our characters to especially if we're designing something for a project where we need to have other people collaborating with us. So we need to have everybody has to draw the same, be reading the same file and to be designing the same character week after week. And that's very important when you're doing animation projects and you're sharing it with and other people are collaborating with you, because different artists obviously have different interpretations of the style and the type of character you're designing. So if you have a very concrete template for other people to work with, it really works well. So today we're just doing a basic character design sheet. And this would be something that you might use for yourself if you're designing a comic strip that you're having a bit of trouble keeping the character on model, and week to week or day to day, whatever your process is, and you just want to make sure it's consistent looking. Now, and I would say the caveat to all of that is that it will change anyway. Over time, you're going to be probably tweaking your character and modifying it in some way to make it better or make it easier to draw. And I would say the more you practice it, the better it will look. So don't be afraid of the process of changing something if you don't draw it exactly the same, as long as it's consistent right through the line. If you're modifying your character, make sure to keep all the people that are on your project on board with you, and that they're up to date as well, and they know what you're doing. So very interesting process. It's a lot more technical than what we've been doing so far, and it should be just as much fun, though. Certainly a lot more detail oriented work here. So what I'm going to do is just turn my camera down to the screen here, and we'll get to work. And we'll just open up our cartoony template, which we had last week, and I've just modified it a bit. I've kind of stretched it wider and not as tall, because we're going to fit in some the 3 roughs that I did earlier, so that we could kind of explore it a bit. This is our cartoony praying mantis that we've been working on week to week here, and we've made him a little more interesting looking. It's maybe not pleasant looking, but um, we've got our basic look here. This would be what he would look like without any costumes and whatnot. So what I've done is basically with some red outlines here, shown what he would look like if you could see through this character, he or she, and trying to keep a couple of things you need to keep in mind here is that your goal is to keep symmetry in your character design, and I'm still learning how to do it in Procreate, but it is something that I struggle with anyway, to keep it symmetrical. It's always an ongoing thing, and also to keep the volumes the same each view. So what I'm exploring to do is to keep the volumes of the different parts of the body in a similar size all the way through. I already see a few little tweaks that I have to make to keep the volumes the same. And these are rough sketches, of course, too. So what we are doing is to try to, in the rough stage here, to try to get the volumes the same, and then we're going to by the end of the lesson, we're going to be able to do some final lines here, so we can get and we might have to make some modifications too. This is pretty tricky stuff here in a way, but to see things symmetrically, it's what I try to do is try to draw like a straight line, rule a line here if I can. Whoops. That's why I always have an issue with Procreate is my thumb. I wear a glove over my fingers, but my thumb, when I try to adjust the size of the image, I will often drag my thumb, and or my middle finger, which I use to make the screen wider or smaller, and it will sometimes create a line. And luckily, we have the undo tool here at the very lower left that we can just click on. It's the little arrow pointing right, then curling and turning left. There we go. And I think I just did another one, so I'm going to just click on that, get rid of that little line I did there at the top. And you see I have, you can see the head behind these ocular parts, the eyes. And then here we'll see what I've done for the side view. I've tried to keep the shape the same and keep the volume the same for the character. I think one thing I would modify here is the width of the chest. I don't think it was quite as big in the other guy there. So we're going to try to take that down a bit there in the rough, and we'll just exercise a bit of. We have the other one to go beside too, and also the other thing I'm noticing is the waist here. The waist. One good way of checking here when you do this is you can do this with Procreate very easily. You duplicate the layer, then take the one layer here and then move it over top of this one, and you can, if you see a little bit of a concern with the with your volumes with your volumes here, and that's the big concern here, is that I don't really like the volume that I've done here. Let's undo this a bit, because this is so much fun. To go back here, just take it off there. So what I want to do is I want to get the shape here of the thorax of the praying mantis here into a similar shape here. So that is my goal here, is to get that waist down a little more, just a little less here, if I can. Yeah, let's just get rid of that again. So we'll just, okay, what we're trying to do, the goal again, is to get this midsection here to be the same volume as what we have in the previous one, in the first drawing. And if we keep it consistent, then it's going to be it will be our friend as we're designing our our character. So let's have a look and see if that looks better. Yeah, I think that is coming along much better. And of course, a good way to do it is to do what I've done here, make that shape again. And if I can remake the shape here and keep it in the same volume, it will be my friend as well. And let's see, keep that there. And then we know that below that area, it's pretty much the same volume between, let's just change the color here of our pen. We'll keep it the blue because the blue is it's our more precise tool. And there we go. We've pretty much achieved what I wanted to do here, and that is to keep the volume of the thorax here to be the same as. Okay, I'm just having a bit of trouble with sliding it over, to be the same as here. And that is your goal, is to keep the volumes in all the drawings the same, right to left. And I've left a bit of space in between here because that'll be next week's exploration, is getting the 3/4 views, which is really tricky. But for now, we've got our hands full with what we're doing here, the front and back of the character. And the same thing here. I've made the basic shapes here and just put them together, and this will help me construct my character time after time, strip after strip, scene after scene in my animation project, whatever I choose to do for this character. And this is a very basic drawing. We will probably put costumes on him, or that will come later. But for now, we just want to see what the main character looks like. And again, I'm seeing the front and back are pretty close here. They're very close, actually. And the way we can do that again is to duplicate that scene, and we can move. And look at that. That's pretty close. That's pretty close to what we wanted. That's exactly what you want right there. You want the front and back scenes to be basically mirror images of each other. It should be, everything should be in exact volumes, exact proportions, exact shapes, except one is a rear view, so you need to see the rear view traits. So here on the left, we have the front view. I'm just going to see if I can zoom in on that so we can focus in on what we're talking about. So the front view, we have the eyes looking straight forward, and the arms on the hips, and the legs visible here. In the rear view, the legs are not visible; they're behind the abdomen of our praying mantis character, and that's something we have to keep in mind, that when we're looking at the character from the rear, it's got to have that abdomen showing there. So it's a good reminder to be consistent in the presentation of the character. And of course, at the top of the head, we had on the left side on the front view, I had kind of ghosted in where the main head shape would be. It's like an egg shape, like a inverted egg, and in the back, and then on the front we have the circular areas for the eyes here as well. And in both views, I've got kind of yellow, or I guess it would be like a red ghost line showing, if you could see through, like a see-through line. And this is basically something I learned doing animation, that you could do this with the character sheets. Just do it yourself, and put a little ghost line in there so you could see for yourself how to construct the character with shapes. And again, to do this head, it's a very interesting shape. You have an egg shape, an inverted egg, and then two circles at the very top there, just below the top of the headline here. So, which is, and I just saw something else by looking at this, how the head of this character here would have to go down a bit. So what I should do here is, as I'm talking to you now, I will just, now notice how the eyes now are a bit out of sync. They're a bit out of whack here. And so my goal here must be to go to the cartoony rough here and correct those eyes. So I will erase the ones I have here, and we need to correct that. The eyes are a bit lower than the top of the head. This is character design 101. This is where you rubber meets the road. You go through these things, you look at them, you make sure the things are consistent. And so what we're going to do here is go back to cartoony rough here and put those eyes down a little bit. You just trace it a bit there. It's good. You're drawing. You're not. And even if you do trace something, a shape or whatever, it's not. It's not an evil thing to do. It's not a. And if you want to get a little more detail, it never hurts to just zoom in a little more fine work. It helps to increase the screen a bit there too. So we're just going to expand that. Use our eraser to take out some of that line there. So there we go. And we saw something else here too. I think I saw the shoulders were a little off sync too. So already a few things are starting to become apparent that we need to do, and that's to clean up some of our mistakes here, some of the things that are not consistent, and that's easy to do. We can. Here we go. Let's make sure we got the right screen here. So this is our cartoony character here. We're just going to out here, and these shoulders, they were a little off here, weren't they? And look how badly they were off. They were quite out of sync. And this is something that you or your character designer is going to say, this is has to be consistent. This is the artist is going to have to draw this and redraw this, and they need to know where the things exactly where they are, front to rear. So we need to straighten this out. So let's do that right now, and we'll clean that up. Get that line here, and again we can, as I was saying, we can zoom in a bit here. Oops. And we should have it pretty close again. Let's take off that line, and yeah, we're getting there. We're pretty close here. So again, we have we forgot a line here. Well, that's okay. We can just add it now. And again, we have the rear view of our character, and it's a lot better than. I think even looking at it, you can see how much better it is with that little bit of a tweak there. It's a lot more consistent across the line there. And so let's go back to we had two characters going. We had our superhero character, which we had alongside our main character, our cartoony character. So this is a little less head space here, a little more body space. So it's a little more acting room physically, and you can get a little more action out of these characters because they're more physical based characters. And I've done something similar here. You see this is the main frontal view, and it's very rough, but you get the idea. It's very basic turnaround here. And as you get these volumes correct, you can start to. I had the wrong part space there. Let's delete that one. let's get our superhero and do that one. We can duplicate these screens here, or duplicate these images, and we can just kind of run them by each one to make sure all our volumes are good. That's pretty good. It's a little, maybe a little off, but it's not bad. We can maybe tweak that a bit there. What I'm going to do is do something similar what we did with the other one, the front and back, and tweak it a bit here. So I think it's the shoulder, slope of the shoulder that we didn't put in here. It's kind of blended right into the neck here. But I think we've done a pretty good job of keeping the arms and the width of the arms and the volumes pretty consistent. Maybe a little thicker in the midriff here. It's an ongoing process. As you do it, you develop an eye for what you need to do as well, and you'll get better at it. And it always looks better. I mean, every time you modify a character like this, you'll come back to it and say, yeah, that looks a lot better. I think the other thing was the midriff here was a different location. Here, I think we need to improve on that. So the groin area would have been about here. So we need to put our pants, our bottom line here, so to speak. And I think our volumes of our legs are pretty close to each other, and maybe a little thicker on the one on the left here. I'm just going to clean that up a bit. So as you can see, it's an ongoing process. You're tweaking this, and then once you have it the way you want it, you can do your final line. I'm just going to take this one off here, and we're going to go back to our cartoony rough here, and we take off our superhero template. Go back to our cartoony template here, and we don't even really need the template anymore. We've got let's assume that this is the character we're going to go with. We've got all our roughs are in volumes are correct, and normally what happens is you have the director of your production or yourself who determines these things. They've made all the okays, and now you're ready to go to the final step. So you're going to create a new layer here for your final of this. Let's rename this final cartoony. Good. Okay, so now we're going to use our black line, and I like to use true black. I like to use 100% black and 0 cyan, magenta, and yellow, and zoom in here so I can get a real good line. Try to pick a good width for my line here on the left. Make sure my opacity is 100%, so I get a good opacity here, and we're ready to ink our final front view of our character. And if you have trouble with the line, I find just not talking and zooming in a bit helps with your detail. And you can get a good solid line there, and then we'll I don't like the way that ended, so I'm going to try that again. Thank goodness for the undo tool. It really saves the artist's bacon a number of times. And then here we have the line going through the elbow, and the chest and torso. And we'll do the same here with the arm going through to the elbow. Same process. We'll do the same here. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. It just seems a bit more awkward for my hand to do it, so I want to zoom in and make sure I have as much comfort and freedom with my hand as I can. And then we make final line here. And as you can see, we're well on our way to getting the final character drawn here. And the knee joint here for the character, and then of course our thorax line, or sorry, our abdomen line here. Oh, that line didn't go so well. I'm just going to zoom it in a bit here so I can clean that up. And we are almost got a basic line here. This will be probably as far as we go because we still have our superhero to work on as well. So we should really do this outline for the abdomen here. Again, with my finger. And we will take out that cartoony ruff there. Well, let's continue with the cartoony ruff till we get that that other eye there. We'll just clean that up there. Oh, I see what happened. I hit my, what I did was I hit my opacity tool and I took it way down to almost 0. So there we go. So there we have the basic outline of our character. And I see we just missed a little bit of his foot here. And we can take our eraser tool and we can erase that a bit, and then we can have another go at that. There you go. And you can adjust your line as you wish after that and clean it up with eraser. Make adjustments and improvements as you wish. Keep it, again, as we were saying, keep it as symmetrical as possible. And keep those volumes as close as possible too, so that it, it looks good. It looks pleasing to the viewer. Okay, so that's our final cartoony character. So let's have a look at our superhero template that we had here, our superhero ruff that we had. And where do we have that? There, we have it right there. So we're going to do the same thing with we've decided that this is the volume. Everything's what we want in our praying mantis superhero character. So we're going to create a new layer here and make this our final superhero. Just name that name, and we will again go to the color file. And as I said, I like the 000 for the cyan, magenta, and yellow, and 100% for the black. I liked working in CMYK. It just seems to be a logical thing for me to do. But of course, you can choose whatever you like. And let's say I'm satisfied that this is what I want to do for my final image, and I'll just do the same thing. I'll just take my pen. I've picked the our face. And now the midriff here. And of course, the very stick-like arms. So they're little heavier in the joint areas like the shoulder here and the elbows, and very stick-like and very slender, I guess would be the term. And making sure we're getting a sense of our character now. We haven't drawn him or her very much, but we're getting a sense of what they should look like. I just did an extra line to show the second leg, I guess. Maybe I'll just erase that. I'll try that later. I'll do the first leg first, and then we'll worry about that later. And then here we have the leg finishing off here, and making sure that when we do the line, we're keeping the lighter line at the top to show, light direction, I guess. That if it's lower in the image, it's out of the light, so it's a little darker. And the heavier line underneath when you're doing the line considerations here. And I'm just going to take it off our superhero rough here, and this is what we have. And you can begin to add the details of the character. One of the things you might do is, I think there's a bit more of a nose. Maybe just indicate that with the, and let's make sure this is the color here, the black color that we had. Just put a little bit of a nose on the character. I just, it's a kind of an unusual looking eye, but one of the things I did have originally was a bit of a brow here, and I think I'd like to kind of explore that again, just have a bit of a brow showing at the top. I think that helps it a lot. And you can modify this at this point too, and have it, since the slope of the head is so high, you can even have the brow going down around toward the face a bit if you want. Yeah, it's all a matter of, as long as it fits in with the rest of the design you're doing. Let's get our rough again. There we go. Yeah, so you see I had a bit of a brow here at the front, and that should be what you try to do consistently, and we try to do it here, center too. It's again, it's an ongoing process. You may even say, well, I don't know if I want to do this, but that's your process, is to keep the consistent. Let's see. No, that's what we're looking for. Superhero rough here. Superhero rough. That's what we're looking for. It's to keep the volumes the same, keep the proportions the same in your character, front to back, and you should be going along good. And the more attention you pay to it, of course, the better it will be. Of course, then you have to get the moving, and the step though is very important to keep it consistent time after time. Let's see what else we can do here. Yeah, for some reason I'm really not liking this side view, but again, it's a process we go through. We have to let's get the right layer here. Okay, there we go. Final superhero. There we go. Yeah, I think it's in the face that I'm not liking, and I'm not really sure why. It's maybe I'm trying to, let's just get the final superhero here, superhero rough. Maybe I need to put more of the features, the facial features in here. very, very small mouth. So maybe if I just put a small mouth here, that will help a bit. Yeah, sometimes you just don't know what you're not liking about it. It's just you just know I'm not liking it. It's an interesting process. Okay, there we go. It's a little better. I think we could even improve on that a bit more. Keep it. Yeah, I'm just not liking that at all. I think we're going to have to work with this guy more till we got a final character here. But you see the process, and actually, that little change I made does look a lot better. And what I might do too is show the other arm in here too, in this particular turnaround. Yeah, I think that's coming. It's not exactly the way I'd like it, but and the other thing, of course, that we have to remember too is we're trying to keep the character balanced. So you see the blue line I've got in here too. It helps your character. It helps you keep them balanced. You see that they like the superhero, your typical superhero character, kind of when they're long in the legs, the movement. If I may, just create a new layer here, and we're going to see the movement and the the goal that we're setting here. I'm just going to change this to a sketching tool here. So basically, what's happening is the body is arching. It's wow, I'm not liking that tool at all. I'm just going to try a bigger tool. We're getting this going on. And this is what you want to do is they're kind of arching this way, but then there's a base. So there you've got this where the feet are, the evening it out, evening the balance. So that's something to keep in mind when you're doing any characters too, is that the movement is similar to this. And then to finish off the balance, you've got the feet sticking out here, out this way to even it off, and then it keeps it balanced this way. So that's not something you naturally do. Most of us tend to just do our character this way, exactly this way, and they stand this way. But if you can imagine that we actually balance ourselves another way, we actually kind of bow out this way, and then we kind of catch our balance with the feet this way. That's something to always keep in mind. I remember doing Teddy Ruxpin, and that was something a lot of us did. Was the characters were drawn a certain way, and we forgot that they had to balance themselves, and that they had to be a comfortable, natural balancing system. And that's something to consider too. And that's maybe something I didn't explore early on. But as you get into this process, you'll begin to see that. That's obviously something you don't see in the front or rear views. But in the side view, which is kind of the most unusual view of these first three views, that's really important to show that point of balance, as it were. And of course, the difference between the front and back. In the front you have let's go back to our superhero rough again. Yeah, a lot more detail, and it's a lot. If you study the musculature and the physical anatomy, you have to be a lot more of a student of anatomy to do the superhero stuff. And you have the pectoral muscles and the abs muscles, and then the front thigh here, and of course the groin, the forearm, the hands. The knees are very visible in the front view, so that has to be something that you include. And the back part is the calves, but they are partly visible. And of course the foot, which is like a triangle, modified triangle, from the front view. On the back view, you have the back of the head, of course, and you've got the back of rear of the skull, which is a very distinct shape, and where it attaches to the neck muscle, which is the neck, of course, is very much more visible, and the back muscles, which are very trapezius and going down into the lower back muscles into the buttocks here. So that's something that's different from the front. You don't see any of the pectorals. You see mainly the back muscles and the rear thigh and the hamstring muscles here at the back, and the back of the knee joint, which is basically a little hollow area there, which well, it's tricky to draw, but you can show it. And then of course the rear of the feet and ankle muscles there, and of course the forearm. It's the rear view of that, and the elbows would be closer to you here, and the forearms would be closer to the front, or the hands would be close to the front. So it's interesting how it's exactly the same proportions and volumes, but it's different muscles that you're seeing from the rear. So just an examination of anatomy. You need to know more anatomy as you're doing superheroes, and study your anatomy. That's always and there's lots of material online. We did a lesson here on our lessons not too long ago, and it really helps. And then when you're ready to ink, we've already done our superhero ink here. And we've already done an ink of our cartoony character. And next week we're going to do a lot more of the technical stuff, as far as because there's going to be something called foreshortening that we're going to be exploring next week. So again, let's go back to our cartoony character. We had our praying mantis cartoony character, who's we modified it a bit to get the consistency of the volume and the proportion, and then we did the final, I guess our final cartoony guy here. Let's take off the rough here. So that's what our with the line on there, and it's still kind of cartoony. It's a little more realistic, but it's still got kind of that whimsical cartoony look to it, and you can see where you can add some emotions and whatnot to it. And the acting for the character should be fairly easy, because it's like modified sticks for the body and for the physique. And let's go to our superhero character now. Let's take a look at our superhero rough. So we had much less head space there, a lot more acting space for the body, and showing the anatomy of the character. We don't have to show this. You don't have to show detailed anatomy, but you do have to show that those muscles are there. They may not be totally visible, but they are there, especially if you're doing human anatomy. And the back muscles here, and then this is the modified side view here. And then we had our final drawing that we did of our final superhero character, and that was the side view that we chose for that one, and pretty much all the details in there. And it's as I said, it's an ongoing process, and you'll as you do it, you'll have a lot of fun. So I'm going to say thank you for coming today, and I'm going to ask Tom if he wants to come back in.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. No, that was fantastic. Here, I'm just going to turn me on here too, so you can. Yeah, so there we go. So yeah, in terms of what everyone can get now, if we're just looking at what's going on here with access and everything. So what we can want to just remind everyone that Jeff will be able to answer questions. So we have his email here, jeffwilsonmentorship@gmail.com. So if you want to send Jeff your character sheet and get feedback, or if you have questions about what he presented today, feel free to send him an email. Yeah, we'd love to get that interaction. So definitely, keep send us stuff. And if you have questions, I put my email up earlier too. So if you have any questions, you can send me an email about equipment access or computers and how what things are happening with the creator space. But definitely, feel free to send Jeff an email, and we'll, he'll be able to talk through things. Yeah, in terms of if anybody does have any questions, I would just be looking at the chat here. We still have a couple minutes, and we can just talk if there are any questions. But yeah, fantastic session, Jeff. And I think yeah, and I want to remind everyone that we have the week 1, 2. You can rewatch those. This one gets archived too, so you can rewatch it. So, don't feel, if you want to review things, that's the beauty of this whole our live stream here, is that you can rewatch the elements and keep going from there. So, um, yeah, I'm not seeing any questions coming up right now. So, I think we're in pretty good shape. Um, yeah, no, I think I'll give it to you, Jeff, if you want to just do a sign off here.
Oh, sure. Well, I thank you, Tom. And again, it's an ongoing process. It's a lot of fun. You can feel like you're pulling your hair out, but I mean, when you get to the end, when you get to the point where you're happy with what you've got, I'm very picky. As you see, I tend to say, oh, I don't like that, or I do like this, and I tend to go with what I like, and it's from trial and error. It's just enjoy the process, and you will arrive somewhere, and you'll enjoy where you get to, and you'll learn something, and that's number one. So that would be um, would my advice would be to just stick with it and enjoy it.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I think, yeah, like really, if all of, with digital arts, like really, really, you got to enjoy it. And if, and if you feel like you're overworking something, just, take a break, but make sure you're sticking to that enjoyment factor. I think that's really key to really, and if you're stuck, that's, feel free to send us an email, send Jeff an email if you're stuck with something. I think, the ongoing theme too is like sometimes that trial and error. Like if you go with something, you might not like it, and if you're not liking something, maybe try again something different from that, and that will create it. Creativity comes from that. So I think definitely keep going. So yeah, I just want to thank all of our partners in this project. Once again, Canada Council for the Arts. We have our library partners: Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library. Definitely check out equipment. Blue Mountains Public Library members, you can access an iPad Pro with Procreate software and an Apple Pencil, so you can use that directly. Take it out, and then you can work on your character sheet directly with an iPad Pro. So take it out; it's there. Really hope everyone can use what's available, and send us emails. And I hope you can connect with Jeff and ask some questions and talk about what you're doing. And that's it. So we'll see you guys next week, week 4, our final week of this masterclass. And there's more coming up. So there's another one we're doing right after, a 3-week masterclass. So definitely check that out on our Eventbrite and sign up for that. And we hope to see you there too. So thanks again. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.